Howdy, it's me, Connor. And I was working on a big video about my stateside stories, but I realized I ain't very good at explaining stateside. It's very hard to explain. So I decided why not just make it will speak for itself. So this is a reading of the first 4 stories and the introduction of 51 stories about 50 states. Which is basically a wayside style collection of stories. They're all quite short, a couple of paragraphs. I hope you enjoy them. So I'm just going to start on the introduction. Introduction. You may be asking yourself, what is a state? Well, my curious friend, a state is any one of the genus statius of the category Geographus, including states, protectorates, and general territories or colonies. At least that's the version with all the scientific jargon. What a state really is has a more simple answer. State is nuts. States are weird creatures that can't go a single day without an event. They work, play, and live just like the rest of us. The way they think, often the way they don't, the way they act, often without thinking, makes them prone to interesting happenings. You will soon read about 51 states, all residing, where else, but stateside. Are these states insane? Absolutely, but their stories provide riveting entertainment. Read on, my friend. The world of stateside awaits. Alabama. Alabama was an aspiring comedian. An absolutely awful comedian, but an aspiring comedian nonetheless. He'd spend late nights at the bar, delivering monologues to anyone who pitied him enough to listen. No matter how drunk his fellow state were, no one would ever laugh. It was very discouraging. You'd think that after being humiliated hundreds of times, Alabama would reconsider his dream and aim for something he was actually good at. Fortunately, Alabama wasn't good at just about anything, so he stuck with comedy despite the negative reception. One day, while delivering an important monologue that could only result in embarrassment, Alabama got heckled. He had been heckled many times before by drunk states who had grown tired of his grown-worthy humor, but this time was different. Someone was playing pre-recorded voice lines over the radio. Alabama demanded the insulting audio be shut off, but to no avail, as the source was nowhere to be found. Alabama was ticked off, so he got off the stage and started searching. By this point, quite a few states became interested in the missing heckler and were watching him scramble to find it. He searched feverishly in every nook and cranny of the bar, finally locating the noises under a stack of coats. He bent down, his pants split right down the middle, making a round ripping sound for all to hear. Now everyone was watching, and Alabama quickly left. I think he'd be embarrassed. Perhaps he was, deep down inside. But mostly, he was happy everyone was finally laughing at him. Alaska. Alaska was a shy, quiet state. He really didn't like confrontation and preferred to spend time alone. This, as you will come to learn, is personality in direct contrast to the typical statesidian. Alaska may have been the biggest state, but he was also the biggest wimp. This caused conflict with 2 other states. Texas was the second biggest state and might no metrical wimp. His one-sided rivalry with Alaska stemmed from the fact that Alaska was a bigger state than he was and was still a wimp. California was the third biggest state and hated wimps with a burning passion. More on that later. His hatred of Alaska stemmed from Alaska daring to be a wimp. Texas and California also hated each other. Texas hated California because he didn't care about morality. California hated Texas because he cared too much about morality. Alaska didn't know about any of this, kept to himself, and assumed that meant no one had a problem with him. So he went through his days blissfully unaware he was the third axis on the triangle of rivalry. Now remember what you know about Alaska. He's shy, quiet, keeps to himself, and hates confrontation. Now you can understand why he was so dumbfounded and afraid when he somehow got in the middle of a shouting match between Texas and California. Every time he tried to step back, he was pulled back into the fray even though he wasn't truly involved. He wasn't entirely sure what to do. He didn't want to fight, but he also couldn't leave. Then, just as the fight was about to turn physical, he had an idea. As the 2 rivals were about to charge at each other, he stood in between the 2, held out his arms, and prayed it would work. Sure enough, both states ran right into his massive palms. 2 fighters were completely stunned, realized what they were doing, and backed away. So in the end, while Alaska was still a wimp, and the rivalry between the biggest states in the nation was still alive and well, Alaska had found a way to resolve the situation peacefully. Arizona. If you ever needed someone to blow things up, Arizona was your man. He loved explosives and fireworks to an insane degree. They were what made him feel alive. Fortunately, not everybody loved Arizona's fireworks. In fact, they were very controversial. See, some people find that they feel safer when an arsonist is in that paper sheaves full of gunpowder ready at a moment's notice. Wonder why? Arizona was determined to show those who feared him, and the law, that his fireworks were harmless fun. He decided, very logically, that he should put on a fireworks show. He wanted everyone to see how brilliant fireworks were, so he invited every state to come watch. He even got permission to do it in Stateside Square, the busiest center in the whole of Stateside. As the sun began to set, the other states gathered around the square, some eager to see a stunning display, and others excited to watch as the whole event crashed and burned, literally and figuratively. The event started out alright. After Arizona lit a firework and started fizzing, states made bets amongst themselves about whether the firework would be destructive or not. However, none caused any damage. After a little while, fewer states made bets, and many who were at first apprehensive towards the fireworks began to think they had misjudged Arizona. The night went to a close. Arizona made one last announcement. He had one last firework to show off. He pulled out his finest creation, a big green and red rocket, or dragons, they were known. Dragons were technically illegal, but Arizona had managed to sneak one in. As Arizona lit the fireworks, some states hid, others ran, and some brave souls stayed put. The dragon went up in the air and swirled around. Arizona predicted an explosion in 8 seconds. 5 seconds into the allotted time, the firework got caught in a tree. 3 seconds later, the tree exploded. Now everyone hightailed, more afraid of Arizona and his fireworks than ever. Arizona stayed behind, admiring the tree. He considered the show a success. After all, seeing things burn made him feel alive. Now the final story, Arkansas. Arkansas had a bit of a Napoleon complex. Being the second smallest state west of the Mississippi River, and being the smallest in the Yamaha region, he often felt underestimated by his peers. However, underestimating the little Arkansas was a big mistake. He was tough and never backed down from conflict. Loved a good fight. In the morning, he'd start his day by arguing with his alarm clock about what the appropriate time to ring was. Then argue with Arizona because he took all the cold water in the shower. Again. He and Arizona would continue debating about the news, ending in fisticuffs. In the afternoon, he'd argue with the sun about being too bright, and he watched with pride as it cowered behind the clouds. He played baseball and fought with Oklahoma because he was definitely safe. This ended in fisticuffs. Then he and Texas would throw hands to see who was stronger. This ended in truce. At night, he tried to argue with New Mexico about how late was too late to drink coffee, but he didn't speak Spanish. He debated with Oklahoma about which was better, cop shows or court shows. This ended in fisticuffs. He ended his day arguing with himself about whether he was any good at arguing or not. Arkansas's always won that one. Some people were put off by Arkansas's constant arguing, debating, and fighting, but lots of states relished in the challenge. Arkansas felt that arguing fulfilled his every desire. He loved every moment of his fight. He never felt small when he argued well. And that's a good taste of my 51 stories about 50 states. I'm only down to Colorado right now, so there ain't much past this point. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Criticism is greatly appreciated. Um, and yeah, that's my introduction to Stateside for y'all. I hope to see you guys soon. Have a fine day, and God bless.